Okay, thank you. Well, my name is Richard Leonori. I am a Scranton architect. I am the chair of the Harb, and I'd like to call the April meeting of the Historic Architecture Review Board to order. And with that, we usually start with introductions. So if we could start with Tim and Denise, and then go through the board, and then any visitors that we may have. So Timothy, you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
I'm Tim Corbett. I'm the solicitor for the Harb, and I apologize. I just realized my volume was down, so if anybody was speaking and I wasn't responding, I was not ignoring you. I apologize.
Okay, Denise?
Hi, I'm Denise, and I am the coordinator for the Harb.
The city coordinator, yes. And then the board, Katie?
I'm Katie Carney. I am the historian.
Michael?
I am Michael Muller, and I'm a licensed architect, resident of the City of Scranton.
Bill? Bill, are you there?
Yep, I'm kind of here. My video's a little weird, but it's Bill Lesniak, Architectural Heritage Association board member.
Thank you. Nell?
Nell O'Boyle, real estate broker.
Okay, I think we saw Katie on here.
Katie Gilmartin, member at large.
Thank you. And who did I leave off here that I can't? I think we have our engineer.
Lee Borthwick, civil engineer.
Thank you, Lee. And let's see, is there anybody else there?
Yeah, Jen Davis. I'm the contractor member of the board.
Okay, thank you. So do we have visitors here with us tonight?
Yes. My name is Al Ornell. I represent Bass Signs.
Okay. And do we have Casey still here?
I'm Casey Donahue, and I will be representing DDLP Oppenheim building today. And Tim, did we end up getting the Lackawanna signage in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
We did, Casey. Thanks.
Okay.
Anybody else? Is there anyone else here that I cannot see?
My name's Kevin Joyce, and I'm here for Shealy's Drugstore.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks.
Okay, welcome. We usually start with a review of the minutes, and the board has received them. Are there any comments on the minutes from the last meeting? Can we entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I'll move to
that motion.
Richard, I don't think I was at that meeting, so I'll just abstain.
Okay, fair enough. And I think you were at that meeting, actually, because I commented on your hair. But okay, do we have a second on that meeting?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? One abstention. I think the minutes are approved as submitted. Okay, with that, we can begin with our review of applications for certificate of appropriateness. And our first one is 123 Wyoming Avenue. This is the county headquarters there, the administrative headquarters. And as I understand it, they are proposing window graphics. And I will just make the comment that normally when the graphics are on the glass, we kind of view them as a window display, something temporary and somewhat out of our domain, so to speak.
Yeah, it's
So,
going to be a window graphics. Is a perforated vinyl.
Yes.
So you can see from the inside out, but not from the outside in.
And totally contained within the frame of the window and totally behind the glass.
Correct.
Right?
It's not behind the glass. It's in front of it.
Oh, it's in front of the glass.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's in front of the glass, but still within the window frame.
Correct.
Okay. So I will entertain any discussion, comments.
Is that on the front elevation of the building or the rear?
No, on the front of the building, on Wyoming Avenue.
And is this where the Charlemont used to be, or is this the other side of the building? I'm sorry, when you're looking at the front doors, to the left or to the right?
I don't have that information. The thing goes, I don't have that information.
It is only two of the windows that you're doing though, is that right?
Correct.
So I don't know, you know, it's all blanked off. The windows on the right are the security office and they have something on there. And then I don't know what's going on with where the Charlemont was.
Either way, I mean, I think it is a little out of our jurisdiction, but I will make the motion to accept the application as submitted.
Fair enough. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in
I would
favor?
like to make a
Yes.
comment here.
Yes. No.
Both my father and grandfather were war veterans. I'm all for images and support of all this. I just think these are, two of the images are super aggressive to show armed and, you know, geared up soldiers basically aiming. One is for you when you're looking at the image. I just would urge other images of soldiers, maybe a little bit less aggressive, to be placed there, but it's just my
Nell,
suggestion.
I'm very glad you brought that up. I have to agree with you. I do think these are,
Thank you.
you know, certainly the reality of war is something we don't want to shy away from, but I do think these are very aggressive images. And having had a business on that block, I know it might have been a little overwhelming to try to create Christmas cheer. And for
Yeah.
example, you know,
For small
think
children who can't
exactly.
read,
Exactly.
they're just looking at the image. It's not clear what's going on there. It could be used a little differently.
Yeah, these
The
are
support.
images that they send us. So that's what,
So Alvar, they were provided to you by the county?
correct.
We can certainly make the recommendation. I think in general, we approve the nature of the signage and honoring the veterans, but we can certainly make the request that particularly the man with the firearm there, you know, facing out to the public, we could make the request that they consider more benign
Yeah,
imagery,
we could ask for it, yeah,
right? We could put that in our motion.
okay.
I think these are just a bit aggressive, and especially in today's climate.
Yeah, I definitely I share that, and there are so many images that could be supplied that would be more
More positive.
palatable. I mean, if you're thinking of a 6-year-old walking by this building, that might not be exactly what you want shown,
Right,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So we can resubmit another layout with a different picture on that window.
Well, I don't know if you need to come back to us. I think we would, in our motion, we will accept the nature of the signage and that we would request that some of those the more warlike images be reconsidered. You know, there are plenty of ways to honor our veterans and plenty of ways to show our veterans.
Okay.
Right?
So with that, maybe I'll revise my motion if I can, to accept the nature of the window display with the modification of imagery to be less aggressive and more positive in nature.
I like it.
Second that.
I like it. Okay. Are you seconding it? No?
I
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So Alvar, you'll get the memo from the city, but I think it's going to be up to you to that with our message to request
I'll
some
get in
different
touch with
imagery.
them and discuss
right?
that. Okay, no
Yeah.
problem.
Okay, thank you. Next,
Me again.
you again. Oh my. Okay. What are you showing us this time then?
300 Lackawanna Avenue, Steamtown, the mall,
Okay.
Yes.
and we have two small signs that go at the one entrance of the mall, of the parking, or the aquarium. And then we have two acrylic signs, new signs that are gonna replace the existing signs on top of the entrance. One on one side, and there's two on the other side.
And these are not on the street, right? These are on
No,
the,
no, by
these
the
are entrances into the garage.
Correct.
The garage is both ends, right?
Yep. There you
So
are.
is that what is there now, or is that what's?
No, no, that's a proof that we made for them, but it's been replaced. It's replacing another signs that were there before.
Okay. So what's new here is the marketplace and Boscov's. That's
Correct.
what's new,
Yeah,
and they're in the same nature of what's there now.
yeah. And
Okay.
and also it's on the other side also.
Tim, if you advance to the next page on this document, I think it shows the before and after.
Right.
So the lower image is what's there now. Is that right?
The lower is being replaced by a similar sign that says Marketplace,
Okay.
Delta Medics, and Luzerne County.
Okay.
So it's all the same housing and you're just replacing the sign within the house.
Exactly. We are replacing the acrylic sign. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's on the garage and it's not on the street.
Right.
Okay.
I have no.
Any comments? A motion?
I'll move to approve as depicted.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Olivaro, you're getting off easy tonight. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you. Okay, next. Okay, this is Casey, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
So Casey, I looked at this and it was kind of, are you replacing all of the windows in both the Oppenheims and the former Lewis and Riley?
So we're not, as of right now, replacing the front windows on Lewis and Riley. It's just the side and the back. And same
Okay.
with Oppenheim. We're going to keep the windows in Oppenheim. We may have to replace a couple of the side ones just to get fresh air in, but I don't even think we need to do that. I'm pretty sure we're going to end up keeping the existing windows.
Okay.
So this right now is for the Lewis and Riley tower side, because we started working on the 8th and 7th floor. So that's where we're going to be replacing the windows first.
So this is the side that basically faces north, right? It's not on the street. Am I right on that?
Correct. Yeah.
And then the back.
Correct.
Okay. And are these wood windows or aluminum windows?
They're aluminum.
Okay. And are they black or are they dark bronze?
They're going to be dark bronze.
Okay. And they are basically in the nature, it's kind of a utility window that's in the side there now, is it not?
Yeah. So
Not even clear glass in a lot of places.
it'll be clear glass, but we'll have that grid in the middle of the window because we have to maintain the look for the historic tax credits that we're getting.
Fair
So
enough.
that's
And
why
this-
we're there.
And this is going to Harrisburg as well, is it not?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So any questions on this?
Are the existing windows the same color? The dark brown?
They're not bronze now. They're kind of like a tan. They match the brick a little bit. So they are different.
But the intent is to replace all of the windows
Yeah,
at some
so-
point, so they'll all be the same color?
We will end up painting the windows that we don't replace. So the like on the front side of Lewis and Riley,
They're green.
the glass has been replaced. So it's newer glass, but they kept the existing wood frame. So we'll end up painting those bronze down the road. Obviously we'll have to come in front of you for that.
Okay.
But all the windows will match eventually.
Any other discussion on this? Would we entertain a motion?
I would make a motion to accept this as put forth.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Casey, you got off easy here.
Easy one there.
You got off easy. Okay, thank you. Next.
Excuse me, Richard,
Yes.
I have to leave.
Okay, fair enough, Alvin. Thank you very
All right,
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Take
presentation.
care.
Thank you. And good luck with the veterans there. Let them come up with some nice images.
Excuse me a minute. Who seconded that motion? I didn't quite catch that.
It was Bill.
Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Yep.
Okay, what do we have next here?
Signage for Horizon Dental.
Okay, and what are they proposing here? This is 400 Wyoming. Okay. Is this the billboard on the back of the building that's facing City Hall? If we go down,
Is it on the back?
I believe this is on the back, right? I believe this is overlooking the lawn of the high rise.
It on the, oh, I thought it was on the side. I'm sorry.
It is the side. I mean, it's facing City Hall though, is it not?
I thought it was on,
Yes, this is the rear of the building facing up Mulberry.
Right.
okay.
So I think basically this is a billboard, and I'm going to question, does this comply with zoning? I mean, does it fit into zoning? I'm not sure that it does. I mean, it's a huge sign. So, and this is attention, this is right, a stretched vinyl. Is that right? I believe.
I don't know if anybody's here representing this application. Is that true?
I don't think so. Tim Pocono Signs?
We did have someone log in late. I'm not certain. We had a Kara Kennedy. I'm not sure which application she's here on.
Kara's with me for 388 Franklin Avenue, Scranton.
Gotcha. It doesn't seem we have anyone from Pocono Signs though.
Well, we're going to have two of these to look at tonight. I personally don't think that they enhance downtown Scranton in any way or form. And I do question whether or not they fit into zoning. And I also will say, I don't know why a historic architecture review board would need to approve something of this scale and nature. And I'll just put it out there. Let's have some discussion, please.
The application says existing structure on it. So is there already a sign there now of that size and they're just replacing the artwork? Or we don't know?
Are we
Yes,
getting, is that true?
They do show the existing sign, which appears to be the same size and location as this one.
So there is one there already
Yes,
of this size and nature.
there.
Their application, they do say changing the ad on the billboard.
I mean, if they're only changing the graphics on something that's already there, I don't think we have a lot. I would think we wouldn't have a lot to say about it. If it is new and, there isn't something of this scale and size there now, then.
On the application, number 29, it says that it is existing, same billboard, and see the pictures.
So it's only a change in graphics on something that's already there.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we have any more discussion? We have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve this application.
I'll
We have a
second.
second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. I think if it's simple, if it's not a new edition of something of that scale, I don't think we have much grounds,
Yeah, I agree.
So I would agree with the way this kind of went through. Okay, what do we have next?
I believe it is 388 Franklin Ave.
Yes.
Okay, I'm here for that. My name's Eric Bass. I'm with Station Glow, the imaging contractors hired by ExxonMobil to change the golf over.
So this is the
I'm
gas
gonna go-
station, right?
Correct.
Okay, so, I mean, I'm sure Exxon has its national, I mean, this is a change from Gulf to Exxon. This is a national graphic. You're not changing the size of anything that's there. Is that true?
Correct. Everything's getting simply refaced. No overall footage at all.
Okay. So one of my concerns on this little building is, okay, this canopy and the sign is one thing,
Okay.
but the building itself was damaged at one point in time, and it was poorly replaced, repaired or not repaired, and it has never been painted. And so I think if they're going through this and having the new Exxon sign and the new canopy, I would like to see us request that at least they paint and repair the existing cornice of the building. I don't know. I was also going to ask Jennifer to go down there and take a picture of it, but it got hit by a truck on the corner a few years back, and it got damaged, and the cornice is gray, and then they painted it with white paint, and it really looks awful. And so if you're going to go and improve the image of this, I think we make the request that they clean up the little building as well.
Yeah, part of our contract when we do all Exxon Mobil is painting of the whole site.
You will.
Yeah, it's just not in this because it has nothing to do with signage.
Fair enough. So we can put that in the motion when we approve this or how we respond to this. The repair of the cornice of the existing building will be part of this.
Yes, they have us do all of that when we image the station. If there's any damage to any structure of any kind, we repair that and paint as well.
And you know what do you know what I'm talking about? You know the area I'm talking about?
I do not.
Okay, because I think a truck hit it or something like this, and the metal cornice that wraps around the building was damaged, and then they kind of pieced it together, and it's been that way for quite a while.
Okay, I'll have to take a look through the survey pictures, but yeah, we usually do repair damaged fascias on building and canopy before we install the new image.
So that would be my simple request on this, that as long as we approve all this, as long as they repair the damaged fascia on the structure.
Okay.
Now, discussion, motion, anything.
Again, it appears to be a replacement in kind. They're actually reducing the amount of signage on there by taking off the lower portions of the sign.
Yes. I think so, Jim.
I'll start a motion approving the application.
I'll second it.
And Michael, I think you need to put in that motion that along with repair of the damaged structure, the cornice of the building.
Fair. So approval of the application is submitted with the added scope to include renovation of the existing cornice on the main building.
Okay, second.
And painting.
And painting.
Paint part of our original scope.
Paint and repair original or existing cornice.
Yes. All right, second.
Denise has it. I can see she's confidently typing.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good night.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Next. Okay, this is another billboard. Now, is this a replacement for an existing billboard or is this a new?
This is a replacement of an existing billboard.
Okay, so it is a replacement. It's already there.
Correct.
Okay. So I guess we have the same situation. It's just a change in graphic.
No, it's so what it is we have a static wall billboard on Shealy's Drugstore. And I'm not sure how many people are familiar with the premises, but the upper floors are a halfway house.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time we have to access the building to get in to change copy, we have to go to the roof and then we have to do things like that. And that was always a challenge, but coupled with obviously the pandemic, Department of Corrections wouldn't let us in there to even get to the building to change the copy. So then we have an advertiser who's unhappy because they have outdated creative. If we wanted to use a truck, we would have to close down Linden Street because of the utility lines. We'd have to have a 200-foot articulating boom. So there's a lot of moving parts. So after this year and dealing with an unhappy customer, we realized that the only way to avoid all of these things, especially with some of the unknown things that come up, we'll have a schedule, we'll have people ready to go and everything's done. And then we get to Shealy's and we can't go upstairs because they're on a lockdown, something happened. So it just really compromises us operationally and logistically. So replacing the existing sign with a digital one would obviously do away with all of that. We don't even have to be there ever. Now that's a photo I sent to Attorney Corbett. This building has a long history of having signage on it. So when Adams used to go in two directions, these are two signs from Donnelly Advertising in the 1950s. And then Donnelly was bought and merged, and they were called General Outdoor. And when the street moved direction, they moved them onto the side of the building that we're currently on. And there had been 5 or 6 or 7 billboard companies who controlled the signage on the building until us. So it has a long history of signage being there.
Wouldn't you love to have that 58 Mercury station wagon?
I'd like to get hit by that. My God.
Wow.
Downtown Scranton, always bringing it down.
Oh.
So that's
Okay, so you're putting a digital board, is what you're proposing, a digital board on the courthouse side.
And will it be 2? Because that's what I'm looking at the pictures.
Years ago there was 2, and then over time, as the industry changed, they stopped being 2 and it became 1 sign. This is the rear of the building now. So yeah, so once upon a time there was a number of different companies there.
So it'll be 1 billboard but digital.
It'll be 1. It won't be, though the application has the same size. We're reluctant to build anything that size, just for a number of reasons. So maybe a bit smaller, maybe not that big, maybe not that high up. But I think that's after we get through these preliminary stages, and at least we know we have some latitude to work with. But for the most part, this is all. Obviously, you can see the lines right there. So if we ever wanted to use a bucket, we'd have to close down the street just to articulate over the lines there and to get it up. So
I think we would be interested in smaller, for sure. But now it is going to be digital, so it's going to be internally lit.
It is internally lit, yeah, and we use signs. We have a couple digital signs in the area. None of them are these homemade bright jobs that you might see. We buy from the big name brands. Ultimately, the Nike or the Reebok of the industry. We buy Daktronics from Promeco and things like that because there are a lot of fly-by-night LED manufacturers, and they have lack of brightness controls, and they have these very bright signs, and we've never had a complaint. We don't buy cheap signs. All of ours have the ability to adjust the nits and the lumens. They all have photo cells. We buy from the same company as the Yankees do and the New York Giants, and we buy legitimate products for those reasons.
Well, I think we would be interested in controlling the brightness for sure.
Yep.
We be a little smaller and controlling the brightness. I mean, I think that would certainly be the direction.
Yeah, sure. And the brightness, I've had to control brightness up in Dixon City. We have a digital billboard in front of the entrance there to Staples and Best Buy. And mid-morning, the sun hits that and you can't even see the sign. So we had to calibrate the photo cells so they're brighter for those 2-3 hours of the day, and then it comes back to normal. So, we're comfortable with doing, all those things.
Are there any other digital billboards downtown?
Yeah, Lamar has another advertising company has a digital billboard on the parking garage that's behind Posh, directly across from the firehouse.
Yeah.
There is a digital billboard coming into town at the base of the Scranton Expressway, and there's a digital billboard coming into town at Jefferson above Bacardo's jewelry store. And I think that's all the digitals.
I think the Harb may have recently approved one. Oh, geez, I forget where it is.
It was over by Penn Furniture, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yes,
that was on the old Hoban building.
I believe it was Jack Williams Tire
Yep.
at the corner of
Yeah. That was.
Franklin and
Yes, we
Linden.
did.
I'm talking about older. I think, didn't we approve one?
There was,
years
yeah,
ago?
the old Hoban building on Franklin Ave
Mhm.
was approved for a big digital billboard. It might have been 18 months ago,
Yes,
but
it did not get installed.
it did not. No,
Yes.
no, that wasn't us. But
Okay. Well, any discussion, guys? What do you think?
Are there any structures that would be impacted by the light? I mean, I know that a lot of the buildings that are just adjacent to this are lower level. Is there anything, like, are there people who would be looking out at this who would have a problem with the light?
no, there's no real ambient light out of the sides, especially with the newer billboards. But for example, the guys at the Backyard Ale House I grew up with, and for years we tinkered with this notion just because, for all the reasons I told you about, just logistically and dealing with the Department of Corrections. So, and we were reluctant to do so because I didn't even want to bring it up to my friend Pat Nasser. And then I spoke with Pat and I told him all the problems we're having. And he said, we have no problem with it. We have no problem with you having a digital sign. And, you know, I told him, I said, Pat, we'll even shut it off at midnight if that makes you happy. You know, we're a small business too, so we're not looking to change anything. And so,
Katie, I think that the old Tinks building that's opposite this doesn't have any windows on that.
Okay.
no, they're all boarded up. We had a
Yeah,
drone go
right.
take pictures.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that building is for sale, right? Or they're closing or whatever?
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
We don't know what's gonna happen.
regardless of windows being boarded up now, I think we need to consider what could be there in the future too, though.
I have an interesting question. Obviously, the sign that's there now is direct applied to the facade.
Yep.
And, you know, it's curious. Obviously, this thing has dimension to it. And, you know, I don't know if it's an air rights question or how, like, I know that wall is probably the property line between two adjacent property owners.
Right. Yep.
If you're projecting into the adjacent property's lot line, is that allowable?
We've spoken with, before we even built this sign to replace a previous sign years ago, we met with the Powells and worked with the Powells and worked out, you know, a lot of concerns and business issues, because when we installed that and we changed the lower portions, we have to work off of their roof with ladders. So
Is there a time limit on that agreement, Kevin? Or I mean, if I owned or bought the Powell building and I wanted to build a 6-story building there, I mean, I should be able to do it. So I don't know what, you know.
Yeah, the Powells and I, we just discussed if there was a problem. We do have an agreement in place. We were planning on revisiting that agreement to allow for, you know, a several day construction for this. So we're still working on that, but in terms of permission, that was established years ago.
What is the frequency by which the images would rotate?
So the ads, our ads, people have different ways of doing it, but we typically have 8 advertisers. That's capacity that rotate, that have a hold time of 8 seconds. So every 64 seconds, sometimes you see a new ad. That's the standard. A lot of states mandate that standard because anything faster or changing sooner than an 8-second hold time, they're afraid would give the appearance of animation, you know, like a Times Square type of billboard. So this isn't, you know, some people have 8 advertisers for 6 seconds. We don't do that. We try to keep it up there a little bit longer. So ours is is pretty much the standard most folks you talk to in the business have 8 ads.
Is there any concern being in an urban environment that you have a distracted driver with a lot of pedestrians with something visually distracting like an animated billboard?
No, there's been countless studies. I actually, the Federal Highway, the FHWA, the administration now, what they hired some experts, a guy named Michael Tantala from Philadelphia, who is a University of Pennsylvania and Penn professor. He's an engineer, but he also is a traffic study expert. And he published a report a few years ago that there's no indication of billboards creating a traffic hazard nor have there been. And he went back and studied placements where a new billboard was built and then converted to digital, or a new digital was built from the ground up, and there was no increase or impact of accidents. It's just never been, there's a lot of theories, but it's the FHWA, the federal government was pretty exhaustive in this gentleman, Mike Tantel's study to see if there is any distinction or any connection between traffic safety and accidents. And, and then you look at the, places where they're abundant rather than not abundant, like a Times Square, where it's all digital, it's all animated, it's all moving. And
you can't drive through there anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. Not anymore. Now it's a park.
Yeah, I'd also say though, the more there is, the more it becomes part of the scenery. So when you have one here,
there's really no, for example, our digital up in Dixon City is the only one on Viewmont Drive, and there's there hasn't been any uptick in accidents or anything like that. There's just no way to quantify that because it hasn't happened. And the guys who have studied it, their data told them that it's just not there. This is a long, this is always a question, obviously, and a concern, obviously, because even being in the sign business, I've seen super bright signs that, you could tell they're probably distraction, like those homemade ones we spoke of.
Well, I'm gonna try and put the fox in the henhouse here. Kevin, if we wanted to limit the brightness of this, could you give us some verbiage, or would you give us a recommendation? I mean,
we could absolutely.
I think this cannot overpower the Scranton Electric City sign and be like.
No, and that I agree with you, and I think that kind of stuff actually does a disservice to our business because we don't want something intrusive. And it's my preference that people can't tell the difference between a static and a digital billboard. You want to grab them with great creative and great copy, not brightness.
The brightness.
Exactly.
Right. Not the brightness.
I think at the end of the day, for me, what I have a hard time on is there's no precedent for a historic structure downtown to have a digital sign on it. And while I'm not opposed to digital signs in my life, I just think it's hard to break or set the precedent for future applicants to allow for this. And so I struggle with that.
Well, yeah, I don't think there's any precedent set. Legally, there's no precedent set by the Harb approving. It's similar to zoning. It's a case-by-case basis. Every case has its own variables. And approving one doesn't necessarily open Pandora's box or create a proliferation for others because no two situations are really the same. The Harb has this, I believe it's my understanding, because I just emailed Solicitor Corbett some questions, having never been here, but they do have deference to pick and choose, which variables for which case seem.
Sure. We're a recommending body, so our role is to advise on what is appropriate for downtown Scranton. Ultimately, City Council, I think, has the final vote. So I'm sensitive to what position we as a historic review board says is appropriate. And gluing a digital sign to a historic building, I just have a hard time with it. I think it's lovely, and I think it'll be smaller than what's there, and maybe the ads will be fresher than an old billboard, but still, I'm just afraid the next guy who has a crap sign sticks it on the wrong building in the wrong spot, and we have a harder time arguing against it because we've set the precedent. Not us as a review board, but then it goes to City Council and they say, well, this exists here or whatever.
We run into that a lot in our business because it's like a liquor license business where the barriers of entry are difficult. And 9 times out of 10, when someone tries to replicate something that someone else has done, it gets denied just for that exact reason. They don't say just because we did it to the left doesn't mean we have to allow it to the right to prevent proliferation. I think it's very, very unique that we have a sign on a building that's controlled by the DOC and we can't get in there a lot of the time. And now that obviously there's a pandemic and close quarters and that whole thing, we can't get in there.
Kevin, if I could interject too. I heard what you had said too about the reason for taking this approach versus a static sign. It makes perfect sense. But I completely agree with Mike. I would have said something if Mike hadn't, that there has been so much money spent on this courthouse over the last handful of years and bringing it, to where it looks now. So many different entities helped with that. And we now have this as our historic downtown, which is a very small footprint. This would set a precedent. And I also share the same concerns that it will be very hard to combat, specifics on taste and location and all of that. And this is really opening something that is sensitive in a different direction. So while it might benefit this building and the residents and the business dealings, I think the risk of it impairing the goal of the city for all of this is too much for me to consider approving this.
Sure. Well, to address the concern on proliferation, so this is in the CD zone, which does not allow billboards. So every billboard in this zone is grandfathered in. So if anyone wanted to come in and put another sign in the CD on its face, going by the four corners of the ordinance, they would be denied on that. And then they would have to meet the 5 factors of a hardship. And many have tried over the years to put up new signs downtown. And based on those 5 factors, they would have to show those and get a permit first before an approval, obviously in conjunction with the Harb. But I just want to quell the concerns that people can come in and just build signs, where if this was an industrial zone, that would be a different conversation, because you can build billboards by right. You just have to fill out the application and meet obviously the standards and setbacks. But in this case, people can't just go to Mr. King's office and apply to put up a sign and get a permit to do that and then come to the Harb. It's just not the case. It's pretty locked up, the downtown. So just in terms of that and any kind of proliferation, I understand. And just to briefly address the courthouse, I agree with you. I'm a huge fan of the downtown. I always have been. I'm a huge fan of the progress in the city. I support it 100%. I think from the courthouse, the only thing from the courthouse that faces this building is the staircase, the stairwells, and the bathrooms, which I don't think all have windows. So standing in the courthouse, you'd have to be in the glass enclosure staircase, going in or out of the building. Probably, I think you can only go out that staircase. But
well, I'm just thinking of all of the festivals and outside events that
sure,
partially,
which I think this could help. We can promote them. We can put ads up for them. We can have countdown clocks. We can have a New Year's countdown. We can do all kinds of things. For that exact reason, whether it's the Italian festival or the parade, we've always contributed to those things anyway, donating billboard space to promote them around the city. So obviously this would be a natural fit. But again, I just wanted to address any concerns or anything like that. I understand your concerns.
I think it's a pretty dramatic change to the downtown aesthetic and landscape. I'd say, those billboards that would be rotated on there, you see each one comes before us as the faces get changed. We wouldn't have that ability anymore with this.
I think that all of us, I'm sure, the one behind Posh and viewable from City Hall, I think we all hate it.
Yeah.
Do we not?
Yeah.
I mean, it just junks up the whole corner there. So
I don't see a need to approve the digital sign here. It's accessible. I think, lanes get shut down in downtown Scranton all the time. I don't see a reason why the truck can't be used.
Well, because at a certain degree, you have an advertiser who's up there for a month, and then they come down after a month, and you start shutting down the street once a month, and you start putting cranes in there once a month. We spent a few years, researching this and going through all the logistics on what works and what doesn't work. And to that degree, it really starts to snowball primarily because of the upper floors of the building.
I do think it's a challenge. I just don't think that the benefit for one property owner should override all of the work that's gone into keeping and restoring this specific footprint. We've approved signage in other parts of downtown that didn't, exist before. I don't feel this is an extreme measure, but this, to me, feels extreme.
Okay, any more discussion? Are we ready for a motion? Lee, Nell, Mike, anybody?
Is it a negative motion? Can I make a motion to reject the application?
You can make any motion you want, and we'll see how the board responds. And if Kevin really wants this, may have to take it to City Hall.
I'll make a motion that this application is rejected due to the historic nature of the square and the negative impact it would have on the character of downtown Scranton.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So where is Kevin? Kevin, I think you made a good case for yourself and presented yourself well.
Thank you very much.
But you did. You certainly did. But I'm if you really, really want this, you're gonna have to take it to City Hall.
Okay.
Okay.
I completely understand. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Thank you all. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, what's next?
There, Tim?
We have another from Casey, I believe. right?
Casey Donahue up for 428, 430 Lackawanna Avenue, Pocono signs, the signage for the tenants downstairs, the
Yes.
businesses.
We should try and get these together. If somebody has multiple, they don't have to sit through.
Yeah, we should have. Let's take a look at this, and I'm gonna make a couple comments here. And Casey, you got off easy on the windows, but
Could we pull it up on the screen? I want
Yeah,
to see
please
which
do.
one you guys have that you sent to you guys.
please do. Okay, we can.
Yeah,
that's
so
basically it.
so we changed this. I made them get rid of the and in the LLC, so they will not be on there, and they're going to be centered underneath the cornice on each side.
Well,
Which-
okay, I was going to say that, I didn't necessarily have a problem with the nature of the signage, but I did have a problem with the placement.
Yeah, I looked at the same
And-
thing, and
And the ampersand was just floating in there, like, so I had a problem with the ampersand and I had a problem with the placement.
yeah. So the new one, I don't know why they didn't send you the new one, but the new one, the ampersand is gone, the comma and the LLC is gone on both sides, and then they're both centered underneath the cornice on each side.
You send that to
Casey?
Tim now, Casey?
Yeah,
Maybe they didn't send it because we found it at 3:30 today at City Hall. Like, it was a little bit under the gun to get this in.
So, and Casey, let me ask you a question about this. Is the lettering bronze or is it black?
it's going to be dark bronze.
Dark bronze, okay, so it's a little softer, which I don't have a problem with. I was thinking that for black, maybe these letters are a little big, but my biggest problem was the placement and the ampersand.
Yeah, I agree. When I saw when they sent this first over, I sent it right back to them. So
If you scroll down further, there's a color version of this. I know it's not the most current version, but there it is. Yeah, I think that's more helpful.
So if you took first of all, knocking the LLC off, it takes some of the sign away, which I think is a good thing, right?
agreed.
And so the one on the left will move farther to the left. Is that not true?
Correct. Yep.
And the one on the right will move farther to the right.
Yep.
Because that northeast on the top of the fourth one, I guess it's centered considering all the letters that are under it, but it's not centered on the window at all.
No.
So well, it's either going to be centered on the window or the cornice, and I think it would look
Oh,
better
you're right. I'm sorry.
centered under the corners, just because there's more windows on the right side and because you have the double doors on the left.
Yes. The driver should be the upper floor, not the lower floor, right?
I agree.
You have 3 doors there, Casey. What are the doors? How do I get in? I mean,
So, and the door on the left will be the access to that whole retail space on the first floor. The National Park Service made us put in that door on the right to make it look like it's 2 separate storefronts to match the existing kind of layout that was there.
okay. So where will that door go, though?
There won't be any handles on that door at all, so it'll
I
just
see.
be a door with nothing on it.
Okay.
Tim, I just emailed you the updated version of it. And on the Northeast Advisor Group, they still need to move it over a little bit to the right, but at least you'll see what it looks like without the junk on there.
Give me a minute, I'll try to get this up.
Oh, that's much better, isn't it?
Yeah, so you could still see that Northeast Advisor Group needs to move over to the right a little bit, just because they centered that on the windows instead of the cornice, but it will be centered on the cornice.
Yeah, much better, Casey. Much better. Okay, any more comments here?
Yeah, those letters match the window. Is that what it is? Is that what you said?
Yeah, they'll match the window frame.
Yeah. Good improvement.
Looks
Yeah.
good.
It's nice. Okay, motion, please.
I'll make a motion to accept as presented.
Second,
I will second that. This is Nell.
thank you, Nell. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Casey, you did real well tonight.
2 for 2.
Thank you for this. This is the improvement that it needed. I mean, the ampersand was just floating. There was just too much.
It's too much on there.
It
Yeah,
looked like it was
totally
thrown
agree.
on there, you know? Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
See you again.
Thanks,
I'm sure.
Casey.
Thanks.
See ya.
Yeah.
See you again. Okay, what is next?
I believe you wanted to speak to about the University of Scranton demolishing, what was the old Chip Pack Funeral Home?
Okay. Well, those buildings are gone.
Yeah,
Okay. And I don't know what,
just out of our jurisdiction.
it's out of our jurisdiction,
That's what I
really,
wanted to basically say.
So I don't know what more we might have to say about that.
Do we know what's going there?
No, I think it's what do you call it, Liebesborn, you know, it's future space. They don't need, they can build anything there. They don't need zoning changes, and it's future growth. So whether it be dormitory or classroom or whatever, they will build on it in time. I don't know how soon.
And that's just up Mulberry from Franklin on the right.
It's from Mulberry. It's from Mulberry to
Mulberry, it's on Mulberry Street, just above Jefferson.
Madison.
The demolition goes towards Linden.
Yeah.
Yep, there's one building left on the corner of Linden and Madison that they do not own. But every other building on Madison has been torn down. If that becomes a parking lot, they have to follow zoning rules for parking in terms of landscape buffers and lighting and
Yes.
right, curbing.
Yes, they would have to comply with zoning. It's true. I don't, as I said, Mike, I don't think they're going to do that, but I don't know. There was parking on the site, and they may have to at least replace what they took away. You know.
Well, it's outside.
So my understanding is it's basically for future growth.
So our border is Jefferson there, right?
Yes.
Did we ever determine if it's both sides of the street?
I believe it is both sides of Jefferson.
Yeah, that's my interpretation as well. So
Yes.
if they start to come,
This was
back
beyond.
down
It was
Jefferson,
outside.
yeah, the line, an outer boundary. It's, you know, the buildings facing those streets.
Right.
So if they start coming that way, I guess we just need to make sure that zoning's aware of how that line works.
I believe
I agree.
the line, when I looked at the map, was the church on the corner.
Yeah, the courtyard.
That,
That's
it.
The court
Yep.
was the limit.
Yeah,
It would go for the line all the way around though,
Yeah.
but that's still beyond it. So not an issue for us.
Right. Anything more about that?
Not here.
So I have something that I need to raise, and it has to do with the mural project by Scranton Tomorrow, and the county is getting in on this. And so I have a request. If they would like to bring the murals before the Harb, but they don't want to have to do it, I guess, formally, or to have to pay the fee every time they bring a mural to us. So I don't know if we have any way around that. I think, Tim, you might, I mean, we had one review. Can they kind of tack on subsequent reviews of murals to that one, or do they have to have a special application each time? And there's nothing really in the zoning or in the ordinance that says they have to bring it before us at all.
So the murals would fall under that gray area that we've had in the past, I think, where
Artwork.
it doesn't trigger a permit, but it would trigger hard. As far as the, you know, kind of lumping them together, what we've done, similar to 428 Lackawanna, what we've done is where they're doing a project at a location, lump that all into like an ongoing application. So I don't know how many locations are there? Is it going to be?
Well, it's going to be several locations on Lackawanna Avenue. It's going to be several locations on Penn Avenue. It's going to be several locations on Mulberry Street.
So what I'd suggest is, if we did it like we've done those cases, is to have it set up almost like they make the application and then have like an ongoing,
like a group app, I think that's what they're asking. Can they do it as a kind of group application?
I know we've generally done them by property. But if it's, I mean, it's really up to you guys. It's your interpretation. I don't think there's anything in the ordinance that would prohibit it from all being contained in a single application. It's, you know, the same applicant, single applicant making an application as to various properties, I guess.
Personally, I think that would be fine. I just think that like if there's gonna have to be a special meeting or something, that would be different. But as long as it's gonna be during our normally scheduled meeting, I don't think it's a problem.
Can you go to the application, Tim? I just want to see how that's framed. Like, so, yeah, my reservation is that if they all come before us, we have to act on all of them like together. And if they're on different buildings, like we may want the ability to modify our by location here.
I don't think that they're going to come all together. I think they want, because they're not going to have funding for all of them in time. It's going to come as a sequence, but I guess they want it all under one kind of umbrella application, so they don't, I don't know, what's the fee, $150 or something? They don't have to.
Richard, how many, like, is this gonna go year to year to year with all of, like, is it gonna go over several years?
Over several years.
Okay, so maybe we can do $150 for the application for the time frame from like January to December. And then the next year, if they do four, they can just pay the $150 from like January of 22 to December.
I think that would work. They would be happy with that. Does that work legally, Tim?
Yeah, I think it's a legal question. I mean, I think the fee is evaluated by others. We don't set that, so I don't feel comfortable deciding whether or not, we charge them or don't charge them.
Well, I think, Lee, your point is important. What if we want to turn one down?
Oh, I think we still can. They're all going to they're all going to come before us individually.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then, my point is probably addressed, but again, the playing favorites on the fee here is probably not a good idea.
Oh, that's a very good point, Lee.
So what was the proposal? Lumping like a single year's fee into one?
Yeah, like a single year. If they do 5 or 6 murals or 4 murals for the year, can they be under a kind of an umbrella application?
Yeah, like I said, I think what we've done with the applications in the past is we've lumped them together, but it's mostly been by property. I don't, there's nothing restricting you that I can see other than the actual application itself. There's nothing restricting you to lumping them together by applicant. The issue you would have is that the text of the application is kind of tailored to a singular location as opposed to listing a number of locations.
I think we would probably have 2 applicants. One would be Lackawanna County and the other would be Scranton tomorrow. So we have 2 applicants, but we're going to have multiple locations.
And once the murals are up, they're there. It's not something that changes, right?
They're looking to make these like 20-year murals, 20 or 30-year murals, and do them with a certain kind of permanence.
I mean, Tim, would that change if Scranton Tomorrow as a nonprofit was the applicant instead of the county?
No, there's nothing accepting them from the application fee. I mean, there's the application fee in the ordinance. There's really not much language there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't see any issue if you wanted to, if an applicant made a single application and the scope of work occurred on a number of properties, there's nothing in the ordinance that prohibits that. You're speaking about precedent before, that's the precedent if you're worried about that, that's what you'd be creating.
Well, maybe Tim, if you drop me a line, or I'll drop you a line or something, so I have something to go back to them with, and maybe the next application for the next mural will be for 3 or 4 sites, but from the same entity.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're right, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, and I think we have a bill to approve.
Yes.
Denise?
The Scranton Times invoice for $60.05 special
Okay.
meeting.
Do we have a motion on that?
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve the Scranton Times bill.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bill.
Yep.
Okay, and if there, I don't know if there's anything else. It's been quite a long meeting. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you all very much.
Take care, everybody.
Have a good one.
A
Stay
good
safe.
meeting.